is a video about silly art. Those self-indulgent creations inspired by things that make us laugh, inside jokes with our friends, and literal interpretations of innuendos in song lyrics. Let's talk about why this kind of art is so important and why you should be sharing it, even when it feels irrelevant and maybe even irreverent. The art that I make can usually be categorized as motivational or humorous. I really like to make a lot of silly things, and for a long time I felt like these less serious creations made me less of an artist. When most of us think about art with a capital A, we think of serious paintings with deep meanings or poems and song lyrics that tug at the heartstrings and bring tears to your eyes. Art is meant to make people feel something, and I always worried that my goofy creations didn't really do that. I know that I have felt these emotions from viewing artwork by other artists, but I could not figure out how to create those emotional pieces myself. And when I tried, I hated how they turned out, and I hated how they made me feel when I looked at them. And I realized that while I love being a consumer of that deep emotional art, what I put out into the world has a different goal entirely. Joy, laughter, and the feeling of being seen. When I'm at an artist market, I'm always gravitating toward booths with cute and funny creations. The feeling that gets me to buy something isn't a deep emotional reaction, but something else. It's when you hold up a sticker to your friend and say, "This is us." It's when you find a painting of a beagle wearing a Snoopy hat and you love it so much just because you love beagles and Snoopy. It's that tiny moment of connection between artist and viewer that says, I see this weird little part of you, and it lives inside of me too. Silly art means so much more than we give it credit for. A painting of an owl dressed as Elton John could just be a play on words, but for me, it was a combination of two things I love. Owls are some of my favorite birds, and that stems from a memory that I have with my dad when we went to a nature preserve, and he was taking pictures, and we saw this beautiful great horned owl land in a tree with a snake in its claws. And I started making owl sounds at the owl, and it turned and looked at me, and my dad got this awesome picture of it. I'll see if I can find it to insert it, but from that moment, I just have loved owls. When my mom was pregnant with me, she says she listened to a lot of Elton John, specifically the song Blessed, which is very fitting for a mom who tried to have a baby for 9 years before I finally came along. So you can see how those two stories turned a silly Elton John painting into something really special and meaningful. And those entire stories didn't come flooding back when I saw this painting. It was just the knowledge that I love owls and Elton John that made this painting feel like it was made for me. And that's what I mean. Even if it's not that deep, silly art always has the potential to bring people together. Having a similar sense of humor is a major friendship indicator. Another example from recently is that I have been obsessed with Batsy Head on Instagram, and I don't know what you would call his style of cartooning and humor, but I will scroll through his page for hours and just not stop cackling. And I showed them to my sister, and she had the exact same reaction. So his silly, goofy art just created a bonding moment for me and my sister, and we continue to send each other these posts, these cartoons. If there's one thing people always need more of, regardless of what's going on in the world or in their personal lives, it's opportunities for joy, laughter, and connection. And that's what silly art does for me, and what I hope my silly art does for others. If your art can be seen by someone else and cause them to giggle, make their eyes light up, or turn to their friend and say, "Look, it's us," then congrats. Your art made someone feel something, which means you're a real artist. Even better, it made them feel good. Art that makes people feel good is so important. It's not more or less important than the deep feelings, the catharsis, or the tears, but it's something that I think gets overlooked in art, and the power to incite those positive feelings and connection. Let this video be your sign to take yourself less seriously and take your silly art more seriously. At the end of the day, it's all about the process and the love of creativity. I'll see you next time.